guess my question concern is just about the frivolous nature with which we're throwing away the idea that Donald Trump is declining in health. Um, he's the oldest president we have ever had. And it's clear from recent what they actually told us that he does have some health troubles. They may not be imminent, but why we're throwing away the concern altogether just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, we're not throwing away altogether, and although they claim to have had full disclosure about this problem with his legs, I still would like the doctor to go to the briefing room and answer questions from medical correspondents. I don't really understand what's going on with his hand, so I'm not dismissing that. I think what we're dismissing is reports that he's dead,
Well,
or that he doesn't have the mental acuity to do the job. He's been misspeaking for years. I'm not minimizing the need to scrutinize his mental and physical health. But what's happened in the last 5 days is bonkers. That's
I I completely agree with you there. But
yeah,
with all that said, and going back to Steve's comment about, trying to focus on the right topics from a
yeah.
Democratic Party perspective, I mean, I would say, Steve, we need to flood the zone. We cannot leave any topic off. We can't just let it go. I think, from a Democratic perspective, that's what a lot of folks are looking for is just like the Republicans have been doing for quite a long time, and what Donald Trump is especially good at is picking those topics. Mark for ages has been talking about the fact that Democrat or Donald Trump wants to put Democrats in general on the back foot, and he's doing a great job. So what can we do to do the same thing?
Before Stephen and Beverly respond, I'll just say I'm not against politics, and I believe that one of the great untold stories of the last 10 years is Donald Trump's political opponents, not just Democrats, but Republicans who don't like him too, their inability to meet him either symmetrically or asymmetrically in a way to try to limit his ability to get what he wants, because he gets what he wants a lot of the time. On the issue of health, I understand weaponizing it, and I'm agnostic on it. It's not my place to say whether it's a good idea or bad idea. What I think the bigger issue is, if we've got a president that old, there should be medical correspondence in the briefing every day saying what's going on with his hands. You say it's aspirin and handshaking. Why is he taking aspirin every day? They haven't really explained that to my knowledge. And there's no excuse for bruising on his left hand because he's not doing two handed handshakes. So I want all those questions answered, not to wound Donald Trump politically, but for public accountability, and so the country can have confidence that the president, in fact, is in good enough health to do the job. That's my concern. Beverly.
I completely agree. I don't have a whole lot to add to that other than to
Okay.
say feeling like that your president is up for the job mentally is not just important for the job he does in the states itself, but it also matters with diplomacy with other countries. I think we looked
Yeah.
very weak with Biden as president when he clearly was not at the top of his game. And I think having strength just in health alone is important. Hear people talk about maybe there should be an age limit for a president. I think it should be more like you were saying, Mark, we just need to have medical tests very clearly defined so we understand what's going on.
Steve.
Mark, you're probably old enough to remember when we had a doctor who was a reporter for the New York Times named Dr. Lawrence Altman, who
Yeah.
was sort of the gold standard of coverage of presidential health. And there was a lot of transparency, and there was a lot on all presidents of both parties about their condition. And I think that's what we should have is real transparency, and it's
Yeah.
just real doctors asking questions. Do I think it's the number one issue in our country today? No. I'm more concerned about the health of kids going to school where people aren't vaccinated. I'm more concerned about grandma having, an AI bot decide whether or not she could be covered by Medicare or not.